The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv and another busy day. But before we get into the news, we have a few little things to say. We have to thank some of our loyal viewers.
Yes, we do.
We had one of our viewers, Patrick, who...
Yeah. Not Patrick in Alabama, not Patrick the open meeting law guy.
Not Patrick open meeting law.
That's right.
No, this is another Patrick who
lives in the Flint.
Lives in the Flint. He called the local radio and said that he watches our show every 3 times a week on 95 and religiously, and we thank him. And I ran into a whole bunch of other people too who have commented on the show at the coffee shops and things like that. You ran into a whole bunch of new viewers, so it's great. It's great to know we do what we can to bring you the real news. This is not. It's like them saying that everything was handled well in Afghanistan, and the mainstream media. We're not the mainstream. We do what we have to. So again, unfortunately.
Well, before you get into that, I've got to say, in regards to the Patrick issue, I didn't listen to the radio station. I received a phone call from somebody who had it recorded.
As did I. Yep.
And they played it back to me. And I listened, and I thought, wow, that's the first I've heard of something like that, especially on the radio station, because you know how well-liked we are by the radio ownership.
Yep.
And I thought it was great. At least Patrick is getting information. But I want to make something clear, Patrick. We do not complain. We're not just complainers. The information we present to you is stuff that we have factual proof for. We have the facts. And we tell
unlike the mayor.
Yeah, unlike the mayor. And we tell all our viewers the same thing. Go do your own research. We can tell you it, but do your own research and confirm what we're saying. Because it wouldn't be the first time we were caught with making an error, and we've corrected ourselves, right, Chip?
Yep, we do.
Yep, we correct ourselves every time. We're only human.
Unlike mainstream media, too.
That's
They're
right.
still saying 5 people died on January 6th that were Capitol police officers.
So I just want to let you know, Patrick, it's wonderful to have you watching our show. I appreciate your viewership, and I hope we do the job for you that you need to have done. Well, and at the end of the show, you will see that there is a phone number that you can call with tips or comments. We're always willing to take them. And please, please, please don't hesitate to call us. We won't answer the call, but you'll get a voicemail, and we return every voicemail.
Yes, and I'll just close that little thing by saying, we don't ask you to agree with everything we say. We don't ask you to. We tell you actually, and to go and research everything to ensure, but we normally have proof. So again, we thank everybody that watches, whether they agree or disagree. This is the spirited debate is the way you move forward. If everybody marches in lockstep, they're marching in a goose step, and they're like Nazis. So
and we're already getting requests from political candidates to appear on our show. So we must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And I've already given the answer that once papers have been taken out, then we will consider having different people on the show.
Yeah, I'm not even sure, because then we're going to be inundated. Just taking papers out is not enough.
No. I want the papers filed. I want the papers filed. I want them filed.
Yeah, we always try to do that too. We always try to bring at least mayoral candidates on.
Exactly.
We had Jazel here at the height of the controversy.
And we weren't his biggest supporters, and he still showed up.
And that's one thing you got to give Jazel credit for.
You have to.
He showed up. But again, unfortunately, we have to start with crime again.
Oh, no.
Yes. And Fall River Insider, according, we love to do this stuff. See, that's a nice picture of a fist. Let's see. Pretty good. Not bad. Okay. Physical assault. According to reports, last Friday, just before 2 p.m., two identified men attacked a victim viciously on Anawan Street. The incident is now under investigation. So we not only have this little post.
Was that Anawan Street? I thought it was.
It doesn't look like Anawan. It may be. The top of Anawan.
I
that
thought it was
looks-
Granite Street.
No.
Isn't that the Duro restaurant? The Townhouse Clubhouse restaurant?
This thing?
No, in the back.
This?
Yeah. Doesn't that look like Prospect Street?
That awning, I don't know. No, that's not Prospect. It's
Okay.
definitely not. This is, I think, I can't make out that. I'm gonna have to go, now I'm gonna have to drive down South Main Street and look. I know that building, this one here, and that there's an awning, there's some kind of, I don't know what
Yeah.
what it is, but that's not important. What really is important is, here is a picture, not just a thing, of two individuals with hoodies
Who were masked?
punching and kicking some individual who is lying on the street. Linda, you want to put this on your tourism director? You love to talk about a tourism director. You think we better clean up this city? Who's going to come to the #1 city in crime? That's between Newport and Cape Cod. We keep saying this. I know you want to give a job to somebody, but give it a rest. Will you please just give it a rest? We need public safety. We don't need a tourism director. Put on another cop with the money. We don't need it. You got people getting the crap kicked out of them in broad daylight. And we had the guy punched at the gas station.
That's right.
This is your tourism director. Crime is rampant while Paul fiddles. The do-nothing mayor again. But you know what Paul was doing this week? Giving out $100,000 jobs at the school.
There you go.
Paul is great at that. The hell with the poor people, and we've got a big news on the front. We've got so much stuff. I'm getting. I ran out of paper. I actually had to print this stuff on stuff I had printed already.
Do you know that I had 2 cases of paper
Yep.
at the beginning of the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
I'm down to 2 or 3 reams.
Well, I was going to go get another case
Yeah.
the other day, and then I went to Somerset, and I figured I'd stop. The Staples isn't there anymore.
No, they closed.
They closed. I went over to Ocean State. They don't have computer paper.
Right.
And I said, hell with it, I'll go pick it up. And I got sidetracked with all the errands I was doing and never got it. And today I start running, so I thought I had a little bit left in the tray. All of a sudden it goes, fill the tray, fill the tray. Now I got to print it on stuff that now I've got to re-scan this so I can have this information. So crime, rampant. Yes, let's get a tourism director to come down and see if they too can get the crap kicked out of them in the middle of South Main Street or North Main Street or wherever. Irrelevant where it is. I know where it's not, the North End. But what is Paul doing? Giving out 100 grand jobs. More money, screw the taxpayer. Only the rich people count. Then we get into the biggie now. And hopefully we can get to affordable housing. But this is, see, some of my fans said they like it when I do this. Oh, la, 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 make the papers dance, okay. Chris Peckham is at Government Center. If I participated in the city logo contest, this would be my entry. The scenic view from the 6th floor of Government Center overlooking Battleship Cove in the background, with the business network and hub of the city, the Chamber of Commerce in the forefront. I may throw in some smokestacks and a couple of mills because that's what we're doing in this city. That's what's important, not fixing this. You can see it from your window, Paul. Just saying. Boy, Chris, you're doing it. And here we go, but everybody, the City Hall is circled. The City Hall is, see that nice trash down there? See those nice bags and refuse all over the place? And there's City Hall, right up there. You can see it here, up in that corner there. That's circled over there. That's Government Center. Here's another picture, close up. Nice, huh? Linda, let's have the tourism director walk them down there and show them all the trash. The only thing missing is a body in this heap. So
And there might be one under that
there
trash.
might be one under the trash. That's true. This is the city of Fall River. But you know where it's not like this? The Davol Corridor. Remember, we're spending $7 million
Of city money.
of city money. In addition, we're going to get the benches and the lights for free. But no, not for the Davol Corridor, where all the richy riches are building their things. There's going to be none of this stuff down there. Remember when they paved Davol Street out of sequence just to take care of one of their pals?
That's right. That was for the Commonwealth Landing Building, as a matter
That's
of fact.
right. And who owns that?
Anthony Cadero.
Yeah, what a surprise. Surprise, surprise. One of the connecteds, huh? Yeah, who's actually going to Rome.
Yep.
He's going on a cruise to Rome. See, we get information from everywhere. We know he's going on a cruise to Rome. While the people living in the tenements are taking a cruise to the tent city at the Southward Tupper. He can go to Naples.
Did you know there's a tent city outside of the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, this is where the trash is from.
Yeah,
That's where the
exactly.
trash is
Exactly.
from. We know, yeah, we know that. But Paul doesn't. Paul's supposed to be up here. Remember when he said, I'll be there? I'm not going to be a part-time mayor. You're right.
No, he's a no-time mayor.
No time mayor. You don't care. No, but he does care about the city. He cares about the Davol Corridor and the North End. That's all he
And-
and the rich people.
And Kenny Fiola's clients.
That's right. But this is outrageous. This is outrageous. $7 million we're spending
For pretty lights
for
and benches.
prettier benches and prettier lights
Yep.
for the rich people. While, see, I still have a very, very good memory. And it's always, they say the best memory is when you can tie it into something. You know, it's like visual memory. You look at something, you know, when you can recall based on something some trigger. Well, didn't we have 261 private businesses getting their trash picked up for free by the city?
And we still do.
In spite of well, I'm glad you said it, CJ. You said it. You beat me to the punch.
We still do.
And we're still doing it. And where's our council?
There's
While
one who's doing it.
while they're worried about the tourism director so they can give one of their friends another job rather than another police officer, they actually passed a resolution to enforce the ordinance and not pick that trash up.
That's right.
And then what did they do after that? The mayor did nothing, and they just shut up. The following year, not a peep, even though it was brought up by Michelle Dion.
Yes.
They still are not enforcing the ordinance to see if. So this is what we get. The regular people of Fall River. This is what we get while you spend $7 million sprucing up a place that has had priority over the regular residential streets of Fall River. You shit-canned every street that was on the list to go down there and take care of the rich guys. And everybody knows it.
Well, I'll tell you about the 261 businesses that are getting the trash picked up. If you remember correctly, I don't know if you do, Michelle Dion had brought it up, and John Perry, who was the Department of Community Maintenance Director at the time, came in, and he said to Michelle Dion in front of the City Council, and we have it on tape.
Yes, we do.
Okay? He said that we will begin this process next month. Next month.
He's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore, and they never began the process next month. Hey, Paul, what were you doing? That's under your time frame.
How many?
Again, do nothing, mayor.
And how many of those people are connected?
Yeah, that's the problem.
How many businesses have we got in Fall River? 7,000 businesses, and they're picking up 261?
Correct.
And then they put in a special exemption for some of those, which is illegal. You can't have an ordinance, then violate the ordinance by giving special treatment to connected people.
Right.
But this is the city. This is outrageous. This city is a dump. It's full of crime. We don't need a tourism director. We need some people in government with a brain,
And a
with
backbone.
a functioning brain cell except for Michelle Dion, that are willing to prioritize the living conditions in the city of Fall River for the average Fall Riverite. Remember, they always say the two biggest things that people care about are crime and education.
Yep.
Well, another thing is right in there. There's a tripartite there. It's clean streets, a clean city. This city's a dump. It's a dump.
And that's a health hazard. And the reason it's a health hazard is when you have that much trash around, okay, it generates pests like rats.
Oh, no, of course it does.
Like rats, like raccoons.
I'm looking closely at this picture. I'm not sure if that's a turd or a bottle, but it may be one of them.
And
so I'm sorry, I just had to say
it generates pests. And what do pests generate? They generate disease.
Of course.
Okay, rats actually generated the bubonic plague.
Exactly.
Okay. And do you know that we still have cases of the bubonic plague in the United States today?
Yeah. Well, bubonic plague is still prevalent in the Far East.
Yes.
Because everybody in the military that was scheduled to go there had to take a bubonic plague shot. And I know that shot hurts like hell, too. I'll tell you what. They said it was the worst shot ever, and it was.
Yep.
And I remember getting it. We all lined up, and they gave us the shot. And I took a couple of steps, and I said, oh, they were just doing this to break up. I took about another step. Everybody in my unit, our shoulders swelled up. You couldn't move your arm for like 5 days. And the bad part about that was that you didn't take one. You had to go back in 2 weeks for a booster. So, but bubonic plague has been still, it hasn't been totally eradicated in the world. Now it's coming back because we're letting half the third world into this country.
That's right.
Bubonic plague, as is tuberculosis.
Pretty soon, you know what you're going to see on the streets?
Cholera, dysentery.
Yep.
Who the hell knows?
Pretty soon, you know what you're going to see on the streets? Bring us your dead.
Yeah.
Bring us your dead. Remember that?
Yeah. But look, we're laughing, but look, this is inexcusable and unacceptable. And I can guarantee you, because I know they watch this show, this will be cleaned up within a day or two, maybe even today.
Yeah.
But we got the pictures, so you can't hide from it. You can't hide from that, and you can't hide from this. Somebody getting beat up by two individuals in broad daylight. And then again, look at this street. Regardless if it's North Main, South Main, do you see any human beings walking on the streets? No. But remember, Linda, we really need a tourism director.
That picture of the man being attacked was taken by a gentleman who came out of the building, saw it happening, started his camera, took a video, and was running at the attackers, who in turn fled the scene.
Well, of course.
And they were masked. But this shows you how one person can make a difference, because this man could have been kicked to death, punched to death. We don't know. Okay, we don't know how bad his injuries were.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you can see them both in this picture. Number one, this guy's getting ready to kick him. The other guy's got his hand up, and I can't see the top of his hand, but he's getting ready to punch him. And there's this guy in a fetal position on the ground, and of course the two cowards will continue to do that as long as somebody doesn't show them that they're willing to engage. But this is it. This is Fall River. But I can guarantee you that there's two different Fall Rivers.
Oh, yeah.
Because go down to the Davol Corridor, and $7 million of our money. You think we could have cleaned up our streets with some of that $7 million? You think we could have hired a few more police officers with that money? No, we're going to take that money and we're going to stick it where these people from New York and everywhere else in the Commonwealth are coming in, and then they're going to take all the money they make and take it back to where they came from,
That's
New
right.
Hampshire, wherever. Because Paul doesn't look out that sixth floor window. What he does is he goes and looks at the Davol Corridor. And he goes out and pretends this stuff doesn't exist. And that is the worst possible thing. So we got crime. We got filth. And the next thing we're going to talk about is affordable housing. Because what happened in Boston? The Boston City Council, in an 11-2 vote, passed Michelle Wu's rent control bill. And that is precedent setting. Now they're looking at a statewide rent control, and of course, all the rich people are panicking. But let's go over that again, CJ. You can explain to people that there are exceptions, which makes the average, owner-occupied building, et cetera.
Owner-occupied with 5 units or less, 6 units or more, it still applies. If you're in an owner-occupied building, like we have in Fall River, a lot of 3-deckers, a lot of them are owner-occupied. If it's owner-occupied, it is exempt from the rent control. Exempt, which means you don't have to subscribe to it. If you have 6 units, though, and it's owner-occupied, rent control plays a part. The rent control is not bad when you think about it. It limits rental increases to 10% a year.
Yeah, which is
and
it's based on the
previous rent.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also based on when there's also, isn't there a caveat in there about about consumer price index?
Consumer price index,
Yeah,
right.
there's a caveat
the cost
in
of
there,
living
which means it's a pretty fair.
Right.
The bottom line with all that gobbledygook is that it's a pretty fair.
Yes.
But of course, the people who these predatory developers don't want that.
That's right.
But
And
the other factor, I got to get this in quickly, then you can go. The other factor that you can see, a lot of cities don't like is that this will force them actually to pay attention to how they raise taxes and stuff. Because once these out of control, like Paul, all he knows how to do, hey, let's give out a few more $100,000 a year jobs. Even though the people of Fall River are spending more than half their income on their rent, and their rent started maybe 4 years ago, it was $795 in Fall River, then it went to $900. Now it's up to $1,700, almost $1,800. That's more than double what it was only 5 years ago. This is unacceptable to average people, but they don't care. But see, the thing is, when they continue to spend money like this, that's going to cut into their profit, because people won't be able to live. They won't be able to pay rent anyway.
Right.
And they can't increase their rent like they did, 100%
Right.
increases. Because their attitude is, I increase your rent, you pay it, or you're out, I'm throwing you out in the street, because frankly, most of them don't give a damn. Now, I know there are some people that own a lot of property that may care about their tenants, but the reality is these out-of-town developers don't give two craps about who lives in there. All they're looking for is pay your rent, and we're throwing you out in the street. So back to the nuts and bolts of this thing.
And there are provisions in this law that protect the renter further, which a lot of landlords, including the landlords that are exempt, don't like, because already it's difficult to evict a tenant. With these extra protections, it's going to become even more difficult to evict a tenant. And if you get the disreputable tenants, like we had during the COVID time where they didn't pay their rent at all, and then when the housing courts opened, all the evictions started flowing in, and then everyone's going, where do I live, where do I live? Well, hey, you didn't pay your rent. You should have been putting that money aside, not spending it on 70-inch television sets. But, this is what they do.
Well, but look, and I understand that, and I know people who've had to go through the eviction price. It's tough. And if you're a landlord and you got a crap, but you have to really vet your tenants now. The thing is, you can't be a slumlord. Let them in, and if they don't pay their rent, you can just throw them out the door. Problem is, I understand it's kind of the sword of Damocles, because you can't just throw people out. Some people maybe need throwing out, and I'll say that. It may not be woke fashionable, but there are some people that should be evicted like instantaneously because they abuse the stuff.
Right.
But now it's up to these landlords and stuff to get assurances. And obviously, if there are unique circumstances, well, you can file criminal charges against people, because if you try to, if they wreck your property and stuff, just keep doing it. And I know it's difficult, but the reality is that these are, people, these are human beings you're displacing. And these people in Fall River, the majority of people try to pay their rent. If you get some, you're going to get lemons everywhere. But the reality is the majority of people trying, they're forgetting for profit, they're forgetting the fact that there are people right now, it's an article that we talked about in Chelsea, paying more than half their income for rent. So how are you going to pay your heat, your electric bill, buy food, if you're spending more, half or more of your entire income? And there are people that can't pay their rent that have got 2 and 3 jobs.
Right.
Because the reality is that, look, inflation's taken, the latest estimate was about 10 grand off the top with this stuff. And it's going to get worse because looking at some of the stuff the federal government's proposing, well, I know that Biden eliminated the tax cuts that Trump gave for the average people, and they're spending money and they're trying to spit it like they always do, but just remember one thing. Predatory developers are not your friends. That's the bottom line, and that's what this precipitated this. Remember, this is something that they tried for a long time and couldn't even get any traction with. But this problem has gotten so bad nationwide, and especially in Massachusetts, where the governor said it's the biggest problem she faces, affordability. And I believe, and I couldn't print out that article, I will have it for Monday, but Michelle Wu's comment was very, very telling. I wish I had it. Maybe somebody will text it to me, that's a hint, but I doubt it. Michelle Wu said that the reason this is here, she says she wants to keep people able to live in the city they love and not have to leave the city they love. She wants to keep Bostonians in Boston.
Right.
And this is a way to do it. And listen, they can cry all they want like this is the end of the world. They've had rent control in New York City
for decades.
For decades and decades and decades. And New York City has not crashed and burned.
Nope.
They still manage. It's still hard to get an apartment in New York.
Yes, it is.
So
people call the obituaries to find an apartment.
Exactly.
And that's not an exaggeration.
Again, we're getting close to the end. CBA's going to wrap up again.
Well, I do have something real quick I want to talk about.
Good. Quickly, go ahead.
Which is COVID money that the schools got. According to a recent report on Channel 10, less than 25% of that money has been spent by the school departments, and they have to spend it by September 2024. That's next September. I don't know how much Fall River has spent, but I do remember seeing, they called it ESSER money. I remember seeing that they had like 4 accounts for that money, and there were plans for it. The Department of the Treasury and the Department of Education is recommending that that money be used for construction second and childhood education first. Imagine that.
What a surprise.
Shock.
Yeah, it's shocking that they actually want to spend it on education.
Right. But you have all these school systems that have spent some of the money, spending it on expansions, new buildings, et cetera, et cetera. That money was meant to help the students overcome their losses during COVID.
One quick thing before you wrap up.
Yep.
We do know that Conley closed. We just don't have time today. We will talk about it Monday because that's a sign of the times, and we will explain why.
Yep, that's for sure. And, Conley's right in this area. Now, what are they going to do with that building? That's the big question. And we'll have time on Monday to discuss it.
That's right.
So it's going to be interesting. Hey, remember, set your clocks ahead this weekend. It's daylight savings time kicking in. So the sun will start going down at around 7 o'clock at night. Hooray!
Stay safe and wear a helmet.
Yep. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.